Hi, this is your boy Terry. Welcome to my video. My username across the internet is surpassing Google, and I'm illegitimate illiterate. Basically, I'll be dispensing some information based on legitimate illiteracy, surrounding a topic that is becoming very popular today: blockchain technology. However, the information that I reveal will be applicable to innovation in general, having looked at the true state of the world. Yes, legitimate illiteracy is very important. It needs a revelation. The knowledge available to humans for their evolution in today's world is painted. It is in balance. There's so much knowledge undocumented. This knowledge is contained in the no books. That is NO-BOOKS. However, many of the books have been written, have been documented. There needs to be a revelation of the knowledge contained in the notebooks, knowledge drawn from the down-to-earth spaces of Mama Earth. To complement the existing knowledge in the world, which constitutes mostly of outer space-like knowledge. This is my role, a revelation of legitimate illiteracy. So today I'll be trying to highlight the importance of legitimate illiteracy in the evolution of blockchain technology. Of course, many things are labeled nonsense by world standards. However, you can sift of this so-called nonsense to find sense therein. We will highlight this over the course of this discussion. It's going to be short. I'll try to keep it short. Altogether, I will try to build on various scenarios surrounding blockchain and its innovation, and we will apply legitimate illiteracy to see if it does any enhancement. Now, I'm going to be disoriented, that's a fact. But even of my nonsense, sift of it to find some sense therein. The aim of this is mostly to, expand your mind's eye, your perception, insight into the true state of the world. Many times, many answers lie there. Establishing the true state of the world, and you will know your place in it. You will know how to deal with it, how to tackle ordeals, because you have clear insight into the true state of the world. However, the world today is painted, and a painted world is an unreal world. We are going to remove some of the paint today. So I'm going to draw excerpts from the curriculum of legitimate illiteracy, and we will discuss the topic of blockchain. It's no coincidence that many of the creators of blockchain, especially recently, are looking for ways to improve governance model of blockchain. Yes, there's something called governance model when it comes to blockchain technology, because one of the primary essence of blockchain is to enhance governance. Some people will say escape governance. In the world of today, people want freedom. In some cases, we don't know what freedom is, because, like I said, the world is painted. You cannot establish true freedom without really establishing the true state of the world. So anyway, that's aside. In a bid to garner more freedom, blockchain was invented. Yes, because before blockchain, many things were reserved for an elite few. Things like knowledge, that knowledge tangible to the world's evolution at large is monopolized by a few, made complex, blurred even, so that the large expanse of humans don't have insight into the true state of the world. This way they can be held accountable, this way they can be influenced, this way they can be kept as clients, each human a customer, so that the world revolves around money. Every product sells. The dynamics of the world is built around labels. so as to create barriers, tension amongst humans, removing value from humans and giving it to inanimate, superficial things like money, luxury, careers, and all that. In the end, humans remain in a cycle of hand to mouth, as in, stamping on each other to pursue happiness, the world standards of happiness. Now, we're just building a basis for this discussion so that you understand the history surrounding the evolution of blockchain. This will help you understand better the current state of blockchain and ways to enhance it. Now, blockchain was created in a bid to bring about decentralization. Decentralization meaning that a larger expanse of the populace can participate in governance. Can have access to knowledge that was once monopolized and kept secret. The blockchain is an open ledger, basically. Decentralized databases containing information that is public, immutable, unalterable, indestructible, permanent. This way, many more people can be held accountable because information constituting their action is public on a ledger that is immutable. Prior to this, government of course can tamper with information, where it doesn't paint them right. Because they're in control of this information, they can tamper it. This brings about things like corruption and all that. Now, we're not tackling mainstream governance at all. That's not our mission. I'm just building a basis for the discussion. So blockchain was created, but in a bid to run away from conventional government or governance, people turn to blockchain as a tool to bring about governance. I want you to, just ponder on that. Perhaps that's where the dynamic surrounding blockchain was made, with the possibility of failure. Yes, because blockchain can fail. It can become an ordinary tech, fade like text before it. However, blockchain is a very, very beautiful technology. Where put to testimonial use will rank great as a form of technology necessary for evolution in humans. We're not getting there yet, but that's the essence of bringing about this discussion. To add legitimate literate knowledge to the knowledge that exists about the evolution of, related to the enhancement of blockchain, to complement that knowledge so that now blockchain becomes a more powerful tool. Altogether, blockchain is a tool, supposed to be a tool. But is it a tool today, or is it seen as the solution bringer? Food for thought. The case that is ongoing today is blockchain is seen, modeled to be the solution bringer. It's leaving the place of tool and it's becoming God. And this is obvious. Many creators of blockchain today are busy modeling and remodeling their blockchain in a bid to bring about governance that is automated and perfect. However, it is easy to see as a legitimate illiterate that humans can't rule, man can't rule man. So there will never be a perfect or flawless blockchain because it will host humans, and humans are imperfect and flawed. So perhaps that's where it all starts. Humans have a sense of morality. That's what really surrounds, that's the dynamics surrounding governance, really. The government or a set of people gather as a government to establish what is good and what is bad. They boil down, they strip down morality to good or bad. But according to a legitimate illiterate, morality is bigger things than good or bad. This may not be known to the world at large, but if you look at the complex tenets present in real life, we're not talking a painted life or painted world, real life, in the down-to-earth spaces of Mama Earth, you will notice that there are bigger things than good or bad. If you even look at the Bible, the Creator himself made adjustments. In the times of the Israelites, it was pinpoint about good or bad. Then it started to become about principles, about context. When Jesus arrived, it was no longer about blatant good or bad. It became more about forgiveness, being slapped and turning the other cheek. It became more about love and the principles and context surrounding love. More so than just outright good or bad. So that's another thing to look at, perhaps where the problem lies for what blockchain is going through today. What is currently ongoing in the blockchain industry is people dissatisfied with the governance that blockchain provides. Giving it all to blockchain as the solution bringer, instead of using blockchain more as a tool valuable for the evolution of human. Anyway, I'll build on this. I'm a bit disoriented, so please bear with me, but you'll get the gist. So let's talk of morality being more than good or bad. In certain worlds, what prevents you from doing bad? It's way more things than just the notion that this is seen as bad. For example, cigarette smoking. There may not be exact laws or even biblical laws saying do not smoke, but aren't there principles? Besides the health hazard, establishing cigarette smoking as bad, are there other tenets of real life that will prevent you from smoking? Does the world know of these other tenets? And are these tenets applicable in every society? What other reasons are there for not smoking? Tons of them. Perhaps you just want to exercise your self-control. You want to be in charge of stimuli instead of you being reactionary to every stimuli or impulse. You want to take charge. That is one reason. Now we are moving away already from the context of good or bad. That is not entirely about being good. It's about you, wanting to have a choice, wanting to take charge of your control, of your response to stimuli. Now there may also be society. Perhaps I'm smoking here and I may be causing a societal hazard or creating discomfort for the person next to me. That is away from the context of good or bad to an extent. It's more about, applying your human senses to where you begin to care about the fellow next to you. Now, you can also bring self-pride into the picture. How will I be perceived? I'm a lady, a beautiful lady, sophisticated, charismatic. Is this befitting of my character, my appearance? How will I be perceived when I smoke? See, that is, leaving the premise of just pinpoint good or bad. Now, when there are tons of reasons like this as barriers from you for you taking up action that is bad, there's a higher tendency that you will not do bad. However, where the only barrier is the fact that it is bad, you have only one barrier. You can just diss it, damn the consequences, because there are no other barriers, and fall for the temptation of doing bad. And how about good? What are reasons for doing good? Is it entirely because a certain action has been labeled good? In many societies, that is what is obtainable. But in the real world, there are other dynamics surrounding you're taking up an action that is good. That is why you will see many societies, once there's a crime stir, they want to go back to his history, or his parents abused him, and give into that as the reason for why he turned out a criminal. These are entire world powers, but a typical person, in the down to earth, knows that that is not sufficient as an excuse, because there are other reasons, other barriers to turning into a criminal, besides the established notion, courtesy of society, that a certain action is bad. Now, when you talk of morals, everything you want is to maintain morality, and that's the sole reason, the sole dynamics guarding the enterprise model for your blockchain, the governance model for your blockchain. Oh, you want to stem morality. There's a follow-up question: are you moral yourself? And if you're moral, who has established morality? Societies are different. The world does have different dynamics applicable. Now, if you apply only the outer space morality, which you are familiar with, and making that the standard for morality and the basis for your blockchain, have you taken cognizance of many in the down to earth where other dynamics play out, where it's more about principles, context, human judgment than outright good or bad? So how will your blockchain satisfy governance for these people? How will your blockchain and its governance model, satisfy the globe as a whole? It won't. This is why you need legitimate illiteracy knowledge. Very important. And this applies not only to blockchain, it applies to the world as a whole. The knowledge available to the world for their evolution is very partial knowledge. The legitimate illiteracy knowledge derived from the down to earth is not documented. Words aren't sufficient enough to cover the context surrounding legitimate illiteracy. So this knowledge is not documented. This knowledge, however, exists. It takes a digging to find, spans and spans of discomfort, undergoing real life and its ordeals, and translating the sorrow that this brings into beautiful things. It's stage and stage of this, and insight begins to arrive. You begin to tap into your shine. Knowledge contained in you that only you can reveal, relevant for the collective evolution of the world. So many things to discuss, surrounding this, because recently you'll see the Tron blockchain, Steem blockchain, EOS blockchain, Ethereum blockchain. Just go on Twitter and see what is currently the issue with blockchain technology. Bitcoin started it with proof of work. People then became dissatisfied, saying that it isn't the perfect governance model. The dynamics can't uphold morality and all that. Then they shift, to another model for blockchain governance. They've tried proof of stake, proof of concept, tons of dynamics. Proof of work with a treasury. These are various models that have been played out. Recently with the Steem blockchain, proof of stake was broken, was practically hacked. It's a model where your stake gives you influence in governance, in the events and changes that occur on the blockchain. Now, someone with very much power, gathered as much power or stake as he can, and then he took over the blockchain by bringing up his own witnesses and then voting them all into power. This way he can effect any change into the blockchain, if you wanted, change the entire governance model and all that. But proof of stake was very celebrated, a very beautiful model, bringing about a measure of democracy to blockchain. But looking at democracy, is democracy the perfect governance either? Has it ever been about governance? Why do we eat ourselves so much around governance when in reality it is very obvious to see that man cannot rule man? What is the entire reason for having left mainstream databases for decentralized databases? Are you running away from mainstream government to replay governance all over again on a blockchain? Then blockchain will fade. Are we replaying every existing innovation, every existing enterprise model all over on blockchain again? Or are we using blockchain as an inspirational tool to invent new dynamics, to gain insight into the true state of the world so as to stir up potentially marvelous solutions? Is blockchain constituting a tool in our hand, or is it becoming the solution bringer? What exactly is going on is people are now looking to blockchain as the solution bringer. Blockchain is leaving the ranks of just a mere tool, a tool that can be put to use for directional affairs of human and their evolution, is now looked at as having to be flawless. Now, when it doesn't meet the criteria of flawless, people become dissatisfied and look for the next blockchain. And then they go there, and the reality plays out. Humans aren't evolved. And now that there's an avenue to gain access to knowledge, insight into the true state of the world, courtesy of blockchain, we are replaying what we know. We are not evolving. We are not using blockchain as a tool to garner more valuable knowledge, tangible for our evolution. We are looking to the blockchain to be perfectly coded to where it brings about outright governance integrated with perfect morality, and then everybody can live in peace. Blockchain is nothing, it's a mere tool. It will find its own shine courtesy of our own shine, regardless of where you want to move, regardless of what governance model you want to try. The same things will repeat itself if humans do not evolve. Blockchain is very beautiful. Opens knowledge, makes it available to anyone. Are we tapping into this knowledge? It gathers a community with the incentive of maintaining reputation. Incites them to mine of their brain. For example, the Steem blockchain, it's application specific and incites people to create content. A revelation of knowledge. However, besides creating content, people interact by means of votes. That is an action. A replica or a representation of human reaction to stimuli. Are we gaining insight into the true state of the world by valuing these cookies, this element of humans, processing it to understand the true state of the world? Humans in today's world are seen as ordinary, but to a legitimate illiterate, humans are very unordinary. They have a spirit, they are made up of a being, a definition, essence, knowledge. Now, courtesy of blockchain, where we rendezvous every day, in the midst of all of that is all these very precious elements of humans. Are we tapping into these beautiful, valuable aspects of human, using it to evolve, using it to establish our place in the world, establish our own beauty, our own shine, to where we start to evolve, become more powerful humans in terms of due to our evolution towards the image of the Creator, Or are we still doing the same thing, allowing the dynamics and curriculums of the world to have a hold on us, even though there is the presence of blockchain that can help us to a large extent break free. You know, recently there's issues with the Steem blockchain and the Tron blockchain. Justin Sun of Tron, he bought Steem it Incorporated and some stake from the owner of Steem. Now, the Steem blockchain, in their bid to maintain governance for the Steem blockchain, they froze the money or the Steem currency that Justin Sun bought on the notion that it was pre-mined by the owner of Steemit and sold to Justin. Now, while it is possible to be patient and allow for dialogue, they took up the measure of protecting, according to them, the Steem blockchain, you know, but to extreme measures. They prevented even transfers of the currency on the notion that it is temporary. Now let's talk about the temporary aspect of it. There is no, that can be true, that can be wholly said that this is temporary, because consensus was required to bring about that change. Consensus will be required to revert the change, and consensus is not promised. We're talking of proof of stake, you know, so you cannot outrightly say that it was a temporary move. You know, those are intentions. You can only be factual about your own intention. You cannot become so entitled to where you can dictate the intentions of others. This is very obvious to a legitimate illiterate. Moreover, you cannot establish the intention of Justin Sun till it is made clear. Just courtesy on that alone. You know, you may not have taken the step of, you know, holding his funds. But besides that, there are other dynamics to this, and this is obvious when you have an understanding of real life. And what is blockchain in reality? It just constitutes real life. You know, a connection of people from all walks of life, you know, guarded by different dynamics, gathering together as a community. That in reality is real life. In real life, what is your business with somebody's wallet besides business? Even if you take it up as your business, in real life, can you as much as go to someone, a stranger, and tell him that you want to see the content of his wallet? You will eat a punch. And in real life, you will take the punch, you know, establishing that you're in the wrong. In the painted world, you may want to retaliate, you know, carrying an entitlement of rights and maybe retaliate. But in real life, you may take the punch, you know. And even if you wanted to do so in real life, won't you need a warrant, you know, even for a small wallet, somebody's pocket wallet? You may end up needing a warrant, you know, if you want to look at it courtesy of real life. Now, do you change that dynamic suddenly because blockchain, which is the solution bringer, is supposed to fix that? Do you carry a sense of entitlement now because, oh, your blockchain is decentralized, I have to hold you accountable? Is that not governance, the same governance you run away from where people hold you accountable, want to censor your speech, you know, want to know what is in your wallet, want you to give account on your wallet, how much you earn and all that? Isn't that what you run away from and went on, you know, on the journey of creating blockchain? Yes, so now what was the result? You know, Justin Sun, you cannot say that he is correct either, but that is what I'm talking about. This is not a question of good or bad, you know, but because who are we to uphold good or bad? Are we entirely moral ourselves? Aren't we flawed? So why is it so hard to forgive or exercise forgiveness? You know, everyone who is so policey about upholding morals, look at the true state of the world. Is it really moral? You know, aren't there nations that go about giving charity, giving aid after they've stirred a war between two nations? You know, stir the war between two nations and then go there for the sake of supplying the, you know, the artillery. You know, what is the true state of the world exactly? You know, yes, you are about governance, wanting to uphold morality of the blockchain, but can you entirely say that you are moral yourself? So why is it so hard to forgive? And just imagine how beautiful blockchain will be if it is used as a tool or modeled as a tool to enable humans to exercise their human virtues, to really evolve. That blockchain will attain the ranks of great. But we'll get into that. Now, it is spoken, the premine stake of Ned, the premine stake of Ned, since for 4 years, that has been eating us up. Why so? What is so hard in forgiving? And really, what is so hard in sifting of the so-called nonsense to find sense therein? It isn't hard. It is just that the world is novice to the dynamics, the complexest tenets of real life. Hence the revelation of legitimate illiteracy. This knowledge is very obvious when you know of the down-to-earth. Complement your outer space knowledge with down-to-earth knowledge. Complement your book knowledge with no book knowledge. Then you will know of these things. Now, when you know of these things, imagine the blockchain and governance model for blockchain that you will create. It will be great. But we will come to that. So, yes, okay, he premined stake. But he also shaped the dream. You know, to a large extent, if you're a project owner, you will know how hard it is to evolve a dream into levels of spanlessness. You know, it's not entirely about putting Steem it up. It's more about creating a defined dream. Because after all, it's open source. You know, keeping the vision within the dream intact. You know, that takes an entire journey, experimental journey. Does take money. Yes. You know, can you really say that Ned has not done anything? You know, even if it's not worth up to 70 million Steem. Started the whole thing. I mean, we're on Steem, courtesy of him. You know, someone went somewhere and, you know, decided to brainstorm, you know, stare solutions out. You know, yes, let's say that was a crime, you know, by your standards, you know, that he premined. Isn't it possible to sift of this person's character and see some other good things? You know, when he was in existence, he was pressured, you know, but he's a human, you know. He's now perhaps he ended up breaking, and then he gave it to another person, and this is where we are at. But is justice sound correct? Maybe not. Maybe the same thing we're discussing is affecting all the governance model. It's no coincidence. EOS left Steem to create EOS in a bid to create better governance model. Can you say that it's better currently? You know, perhaps wanting to try a one person, one vote and doing KYC, you know, in a bid. And, you know, that's it. When you want to create innovation, how about just creating an innovation that, you know, caters to its own solution? I don't know how to put it, you know, instead of building, surrounding, wanting to surrounding a rift, you know, when you eat yourself so much about, oh, Steem is a terrible blockchain, and let's create my own, then your base is always going to be Steem. That's just it. But how about working on a particular blockchain? Establishing that no blockchain is going to be without flaws, because it will host humans, and humans are with flaws. And perhaps enhancing that experimentally till it attains, balance. Instead of too much tension and rift. What exactly is stirring this tension and rift? Blockchain. That's an ordinary technology, an ordinary tech. Well, that's what money does. We start to remove value from our relationship as human and giving it to inanimate things. What exactly is money? That causes a lot of fight and tension and division. Are we going to redo that with blockchain? Where we start to identify with a certain blockchain, when in reality blockchain's essence or testimonial essence is to bring about decentralization to anyone. How do we attain that with competition? Creating barriers that you wanted to escape. Blockchain is supposed to remove the barriers of nation, but it's replaying itself again on blockchain, where nations are seen as developed and developing. Look at witnesses on a blockchain or nodes. Mostly power nodes will be from Western nations that regard themselves as developed, while others being labeled developing third world country. They have barriers in terms of rising in the rankings. So is it about the blockchain governance, or is it about humans not having evolved? And will blockchain not go to not if and just fade as an ordinary tech where we don't evolve? Are we going to stay as we have been without evolution, even with the advancement in technology? And that is what has been going on in the world. We deteriorate in our value as technology advances, because we start to see these things as the solution, while in reality these things are just tools in our hands for evolution. Very, very simple. So if I was going to build a blockchain from the very outset, I'm not looking at blockchain to bring about the perfect governance model. I'm looking at I'm looking at a gray list. The use of a gray list instead of a black or white list. Who am I to label something black or white? Am I a governor? Or am I a god? It's established. I cannot rule man. The only thing I can do is to create a blockchain that plays out a curriculum that looks to be directional, a mentality adjuster. Give more testimonial essence to each human activity that occurs on the blockchain, so that each human activity becomes an avenue to evolve in our human virtues. So I may play out a proof of tiers model and mining the human model. Get rewarded each time you exercise a human virtue. Of course, the dynamics of the blockchain from the outset is not to bring about, not to limit the morality to just good and bad, but to apply an entire scope, principle, curriculum, one that forgives, one that is self-sacrificing. Can't a blockchain accomplish that? Oh, it can. There are testimonies to that, but we won't go into that. Now, the essence of this is just to pinpoint that the blockchain industry needs to listen out, allow in knowledge contained in the down to earth, take cognizance of this knowledge as well, so as to create a blockchain that can cater, even in terms of governance, to a larger span of population. This is how you bring about decentralization. Make blockchain reachable by anyone, regardless of their location. Because if you have to play the dynamics that rules this world, permeates this world already, same things will happen on blockchain. Mainstream government will begin to have a say in the termination of blockchain, because you're not swaying them with your effect on the world. You know, you may end up adding more division, you know. So this message is for Dan, Larimer, you know, Vitalik, every blockchain creator. It's essential that you see this, you know. And if you want to talk to me, please talk to me. I'm a legitimate illiterate. I'd like to give you insights based on legitimate illiteracy. Perhaps it will, you know, enhance or enable you, enhance your, just give you a more expanded view. You know, this may impact how you model your blockchain, its governance model, and everything that surrounds it. You know, if we're so blatant about, saying some people's content is shit and all that, what exactly are we doing? Aren't we replaying what exists on conventional internet? You know, where everyone, central bodies can just mute you or suspend your account. You know, perhaps not directly, but when you look at the effect critically, it's just a replay of what exists in mainstream internet. We're not really decentralizing the internet if we don't create new dynamics. You know, blockchain is supposed to constitute a world on its own, like a world afresh. You know, perhaps new dynamics, new innovations. Look at innovations on blockchain. You know, we are not really bringing about any new, interesting, world-shaking innovation. We are mostly replaying existing innovation all over again on blockchain, mostly in a bid to distribute rewards. You know, where there's a Facebook, we create another Facebook on blockchain. It's not entirely about the website. It's more about the enterprise model, the paradigms. The paradigms are the same. You know, there's so much we can do with blockchain, you know, but we have to establish it as a tool. You know, a tool valuable for evolution in human. You know, more so than it, you know, looking at it as God, it having to be perfect, it having to, you know, return us to laziness, basically, where we no longer have to, you know, use our own senses to react to a stimuli, because the blockchain does it for us. Oh, no worries, everything is safe because the blockchain is coded, you know, to where its governance model is perfect. You know, and even when you talk of proof of stake and governance, you know, how many people are we taking into consideration with proof of stake currently? You know, are we looking at each person in the world as valuable? You know, or are we seeing some? Look at developers, even on the Steem blockchain, besides witnesses or any blockchain. You know, there's still that barrier ongoing. Oh, you're developed, I won't pay you. You're not deserving of the same pay as someone that's in the West on the same knowledge. You know, you're not as knowledgeable as someone in, you know, that's schooled in Harvard, because you're in a developing country, you're a third world. Are we going to replay all those barriers? Then what will the essence of blockchain be as a standout technology? It will fade, basically. You know, so I have my own, you know, model blockchain and all that, you know, that I created, but this is not to mention it. You know, this is mostly to just highlight, you know, when it comes to blockchain, it's not about competition, it's about unity for the most part. You know, the moment you start to bring about barriers, oh, proof of brain is flawed, proof of stake is, we're going nowhere. The same division will replay all over again, division and tension and competition, and blockchain will never become mainstream. It's just that simple. Now, speaking of resources, of course, there's no competition there. You know, decentralized paths, it's going to be hard because it's based on consensus, you know, to move at the same pace. even from a financial standpoint, as regular conventional methods. So what is required to move is, let's remove all the divisions. And what if everyone, anyway, let's just apply blockchain as a tool for our evolution. Take a closer look at blockchain and its beauty in terms of world adjustment, and let's use blockchain as a tool. There's no governance model that is exactly flawed when you look at it. Really, blockchain in its entirety is experimental, and when you are doing something experimental, it doesn't fail in reality. Worst case, it's an experiment. Can you fail in something that is experimental? These things are very easy to establish. Most of the answers are in the first, simplest, obviousest solutions. For example, when Dan of Steem and Ned were having rifts, that was more in human relationships. It's possible to solve that in the real world. Perhaps if you're in the same location, bring in some elders from your community and talk. Attain a compromise. One person compromises and forgives or something. That may have been a path to take. And you people, once you scale that tension, you evolve in your human. You become stronger in your decision making. A more solid human. You're not reactionary in your response to stimuli. And then we have two people with very top mentality and human virtues and all that, tested and proven in real life, trying to build a blockchain. This way you'll better be able to build a blockchain than there's a tension. You don't go past that. How can you build a blockchain if it's about creating a blockchain to bring about the perfect governance? You can't even settle a rift with your brother. Mosquito bites you, you have to call 911. You have to pick up a gun. Or you have to pick up a stick. When in the real world, even the biggest of tensions are solvable in dialogue. Solvable, biggest of tension. But the world is still very novice to what is obtainable in the world, and we're not using the tools available to gain these insights. We just follow the hype. Another technology has come. This will bring us comfort. We don't need to stand up from our rooms anymore. We can order that food from our house. We don't need to relate with humans anymore. We're just losing out on it. Okay, very soon you stay indoors. You have no relationship with humans. How do you evolve? Then there's a perfect technology that does it. The perfect technology will become God, the sought after. Aliens will begin to rule us because they bring about the comfort that we so desire. We look at it as a solution bringer. Artificial intelligence, very fanciful looking. Very soon they will provide ultra, extremely super ultra television, that will tell us that our eyes are no longer effective, because anytime we go out we see, and it's quite blurry compared to what the television shows you. Then you pluck out your eyes. Maybe you'll want to put in robotic eyes then, so that you can see the world in new light. Is that where we're headed? It's very, 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 very scary. Yes, underneath this video you can find something to read about me. It talks of my projects, just so that it adds to your insights, to your knowledge base, and perhaps together we can unite and build a blockchain, or stick to a blockchain basically, and learn to relate as humans. When there is tension, what exactly is tension, and what is stirring the tension? Blockchain. Then we're losing. It's just like money and inanimate things stirring the tension. That alone is reason for us not to have tension. Because if it's a blockchain, something that is inanimate, just sits there on its own, then we are fighting and having tension amongst each other, divisions and parting, breaking up relationship. That blockchain must be a god. Then it just sits in its place there, and people are just, it's laughable at, let's wake up. And if you see this knowledge, it's not for you to take it or imbibe it. It's for you to sift of it, to find some sense in it. I'm not here to say that I'm right or wrong. The world is bigger than that. What exactly is right or wrong? And what's wrong is not forgivable. When you have seen many things become ordinary. When you have done time, many things are forgivable in reality. We just create a buzz and let it eat us up. By now, aren't we past the 70 million or so pre-mine? Aren't we past that, truly? That it eats us up, and just the next stimuli stirs it up again, and we have to be reactionary in our actions, and now stir division, and where aren't we past that? Besides what not, we're past that. Aren't we more evolved with all the technological advancement and all the knowledge and secular knowledge advancement and all? Are we still in that phase? Then can we so blatantly say that some people are developing? Truly, I'm telling you, don't be mistaken. Don't be mistaken. Don't go calling people developing third world. You will be mistaken. So let me see if I wrote something else. I said yes, blockchain is a more powerful tool as a mentality adjuster, as a tool to evolve human virtues, more so than a governance tool. Man cannot rule man, more so than an upholder of morality. Who is moral, really? Are you moral? Are you? So you cannot uphold morality, good or bad, and establish the standards for it in its entirety, except you are moral, and you can't say that you're entirely moral or without flaws. So it's more about consideration, love. These things need to be mined, and that's where blockchain becomes powerful, where we use blockchain to mine these things. Someone downvotes you and you improvise, you go and innovate anew, you apply love, you sift of their action and find good in it, instead of the quick impulse to use the tool, the feature that blockchain gives you, because now it's everything, the downvote button. Those are easy routes. Those are not routes of greatness. In reality, greatness is in the unshakableness of your substance. We're supposed to come on a blockchain and sway it with our beauty. But where's our beauty if we do not find it? We need to mine this beauty. As we tap into our shine, blockchain begins to find its own shine. Can't we really stay on Steem, for example, even with the flood governance, and maintain peace and move forward? Or on Tron or on EOS or whatever blockchain it is? It's possible. When are we going to learn to relate? Now it's supposed to be easier, relationship and all that, unity. If blockchain, if technology is playing its use. But that's not the case, and it's obvious. And it's happening to blockchain all over again, and that's the essence of this video. So, and for those who are on the down to earth, now is the time. Leave outer space. The world itself is returning back down to earth. It's returning back down to earth. Innovation is attaining a cap, and it's obvious. Yes, after blockchain, artificial intelligence, after artificial intelligence, human clones, after human clones, or human bots, after human bots, human clones. After that, what next? The world will return down to earth, to the nooks and crannies of the so-called slums, to seek greatness there. And in reality, what the world is seeking is greatness. But there's a rarity in the great man industry, even as the world is set to advance. There were great men in generations past. Today, there is a rarity. We fix this rarity, we surpass Google. But for that to be the case, people who understand the concepts in the down to earth need to come up. Instead of following people into outer space, bring about a revelation of the knowledge from the down to earth, evolve innovation that carries down to earth paradigms. This way, blockchain can begin to find new types of dApps, new types of governance dynamics, new types of whatever it is, a new genre of it, unheard of, undocumented in any books. Then blockchain will be seen even by the world as something that is really influencing the earth, and perhaps want to adopt it, because now it's indispensable, the good, the value that blockchain is adding in terms of world adjustment. Because suddenly there are applications with new dynamics. If it's a reward distribution system that you want to build using blockchain, how about exploring other tons of rewards and innovating new types of rewards and building it around money, which is, what is obtainable has grown popular, but is really will fade. There are tons of rewards. A handshake is a reward, a prayer is a reward. Can you highlight this using your blockchain model? Then you'll be bringing things that will shock people, surprise them. Gosh, I never knew this existed. And it's just like when I created ulogs. It's a very simple concept. An innovation courtesy of blockchain. And as simple as it is, people say, oh gosh, so this exists, or how come I never thought of this? That's the beauty of blockchain, when you can incite these things. Or a proof of tiers model, where we want to reward every tiers, fix the tiers with the tiers, dispel the notion that tears is tied to sadness, and abate the terminology pursuit of happiness. Abate hand-to-mouthism, half-humanism. Make tears a byproduct of the evolution of human, a breakthrough token, a token with a prayer. Create innovations on the blockchain that incite human to mine human virtues. Yes, the world of today, what is it about? Mining the brain, pursuit of excellence in terms of secular education, climbing a career ladder, without regard for the evolution of other human facets, mentality, swag, presence, greatness. Yes, we have many geeks today, but do we have many great men? We leave every other facet of human and only evolve one facet for the most part, which is knowledge. Then even your perception of the world will be skewed, guarded in accordance with what you have come to know. You won't be able to get insight into the true state of the world, because other humans who may be evolved in other facets of livelihood are seen as lowly, and you are entitled, taking the place of God, wanting to be revered. How can you gain insight into the true state of the world then? How can you relate with fellow human and not desire that an automated bot takes care of that, if you do not evolve other facets of life, of living, of real life? Then how can you relate with fellow humans? How can you settle disputes? And if you can't, how can you build a governance model that will cater to the entire globe? How can you bring decentralization techniques to mainstreamity? Let's wake up. I'll stop here. I'm your boy Terry. Please contact me on any niche or industry you want legitimate illiteracy knowledge to complement your existing knowledge. I'll offer it. I'll pay attention to you and give you just the right knowledge. If it's your project, I'll look at your project and tell you how you can add, complement its evolution with legitimate illiteracy knowledge and all that. All together, I'm your boy Terry. I'm just your boy Terry, basically, and that's a constant. Whether bulls or bears. A digital currency is supposed to succeed whether bulls or bears, because humans are involved. Where we are reaching a world where bulls or bears are beginning to have more value than humans all over again, then blockchain will fade like text before it. So let's look into that. I'm your boy Terry. Make sure to stay awesome.